You see how I preserved the heart of my first lover? Very demure and very mindful. You see how I unsheathed the katana of my second lover? Very demure, very mindful. You see how I light an incense holder made of the bones of my third lover? Very demure, very mindful. You always did make me choke. If you've been on the internet for any period of time in the past couple of weeks, you have for sure heard very demure, very mindful. It's a popular meme created by TikToker Jules LeBron, and it's been so cool to see a transgender creator that I follow get embraced by the mainstream. But all that glitters is not gold, and there's been a lot of debate about whether or not Jules LeBron is the original creator of demure and mindful, and whether or not she actually owns it. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Hi, my name is katblaque, and I like to think that I make content for introspective hot people. And if you're here, I'll assume that's you. And if you're brand new here, you know exactly what to do if this video pleases you. Click my button and join me right here on the channel.
See how I do my makeup for work? Very demure, very mindful. I don't come to work with a green cut crease. I don't look like a clown when I go to work. I don't do too much. I'm very mindful while I'm at work. See how I look very presentable? The way I came to the interview is the way I go to the job. A lot of you girls go to the interview looking like Marge Simpson and go to the job looking like Patty and Selma. Not demure. I'm very modest. I'm very mindful. You see my shirt? Only a little chichi out, not my chocho. Be mindful of why they hired you. Here's your reality check, diva. What's the name you'd like me to make it out to?
So I actually have been following Jules LeBron for a while. I have a thing on TikTok where if I see you on TikTok on my side of the TikTok algorithm, I will follow you if you are a transgender creator. And, you know, it's just been so cool to see people like Jules and a lot of other people on the platform because, you know, for a really long time, I was like one of the few transgender people on the internet. And it just feels really cool that there are so many more people out there making content about being transgender. Now, Jules LeBron predominantly creates like makeup related content. In fact, that is really the context where I have become familiar with her. There's been a lot of videos that she's made where she's trying out viral products. That's how she entered into my feed. Somebody who was reliably testing out products. But of course, she has a great sense of humor. She is a hoot and a half, and a lot of the videos that she would make on the side were always showcasing her sense of humor that I just always found to be really charming. And so when the demure and mindful trend came up, I saw those videos go up. And I loved them like I loved everything that she's posted, but I didn't know that it was going to become such a huge phenomenon. And as a transgender woman, I wanted to talk a bit about that because for me, there are some thoughts that I had initially when thinking about what demure and mindful means. And I think that that is a really interesting thing to think about when we talk about the way that this trend has sort of twisted in the different conversations we've been having about ownership around this particular meme. So one of the first videos that I saw of the demure and mindful trend was about how she showed up to work in a very demure and mindful way. And for me, when I heard that, I thought a lot about the way that, especially as a transgender woman of color, you often have to ride these very, very, very particular lines, right? For a lot of transgender women, you feel in general like you can't be too much, right? And you're always sort of digesting these feelings of, I need to make sure that I am demure. I need to make sure that I'm appropriate. I need to make sure that I'm acceptable. I need to make sure that, you know, I am presenting myself in a way where, frankly, I won't get hate crimed or, you know, people won't target me, right? I think transgender women of color sit at a very unique intersection where we are thinking not just about transphobia, but also racism, also misogyny, also so many other things. And there is something about existing in this society, specifically as a transgender woman, that I think allows us to have access to a lot of conversations that can be easily universalized because we are dealing with so many things at once, right?
When I did start making TikToks, I found more girls like me. I found girls who are plus size, who are trans, who are having the same experiences that come uniquely with that set of combinations. Your demure is what it means to you. It's being mindful and considerate of the people around you, but also of yourself and how you present to the world. We're all like in this, we're unified. Like nothing has to be so serious. Nothing has to be so aggressive. Like everything could just be very cute. We don't do too much. We only do a little bit. I'm not crazy with it. I'm very demure.
When I heard her talking about being demure and mindful, especially in the context of work, I thought about my own desire to find normative work. You guys know this is the only job I've really had, but I've tried to work in other places, right? And when I was younger, I remember thinking so much about needing to pass to get a job, right? First and foremost, but also existing in a way where if they knew that I was transgender, at least they could say that I was one of the good ones, right? And I think that for a lot of trans women of color, especially, you really do deal with that specific thing because you're thinking about that in the context of being trans, but you're also thinking about that, especially if you're in like a mostly white area, in the context of being a person of color. In so many positions in life, I've been the only person who is Black, right? And I've had to think about being the representative of, the group and how unfair that really is, right? And I think that for me, the thing I loved about the trend is that it satirizes that. It makes fun of the pressure that we all feel to be demure. And the thing about it is, like I said, because trans women of color sit at these intersections, there's a lot of things that other people can see in it. In fact, one of the things that started happening is a lot of people started making their own versions of being demure and mindful.
You see how I do my makeup for work? Very demure, very mindful. I don't come to work with a green cut crease. I don't look like a clown when I go to work. I do a little hair oil on the wig. I do a little tinted moisturizer. I do a little brow gel. Very considerate, very approachable, very demure.
What did you say?
Do you see how I'm pumping in gas so my wife doesn't have to tomorrow? Very thoughtful, very mindful, very demure. Do you see how I'm holding the gas nozzle so my wife doesn't have to get her hands dirty? Very considerate, very clean, very demure.
You see how I come to the studio, no makeup. I have on a plain Jane watch, not full of diamonds. Very mindful, very cutesy, very demure.
Very mindful.
Very cutesy.
Very demure.
And a lot of these versions, they rode this line between satire and being very, very genuine, right? Jules's use of demure and mindful is very obviously satiric, right? It's supposed to laugh at these sort of like false dichotomies that we give ourselves, right? Like, I'm going to order a pizza, but I'm going to get a Diet Coke, right? Like demure and mindful, right? It's demure to order a Diet Coke as opposed to a Coke with all of the sugar in it, right? That is, to me, the thing that it's making fun of, right? And I think that a lot of people could put that onto various things in their life. There have been so many different people who I've seen that have used their own sort of version of it. Like, I just think it's so cool that so many people were able to connect with this thing that a trans woman of color created. But like I said, unfortunately, there has been a bit of debate about whether or not Jules LeBron is the person who created demure and mindful. So there's another TikTok creator who I follow whose name is Trap Selena. Trap Selena is a TikTok creator who, from what I've seen from the time that I've followed her, makes music. She does a lot of commentary. She does a lot of beauty stuff. I see her all the time just looking pretty and being interesting. She's got a lot of opinions. She's very opinionated, but I love her down. She is definitely an edgy girl that I love. I follow her, and I saw that when Jules's video was starting to become popular, she would pop up and claim that, in all truth, she was the one who created demure and mindful.
The whole demure trend is literally something that I made back in 2021. And the reason why I made that TikToks is because, I'm somebody who reads a lot. So the word demure pops up in a lot of my literature. And there was this whole thing about just like, there was this funny trend about like, at the time, about being super petite. I was like, oh my God, that's so demure. And it was like 2 or 3 summers ago, I started using the word demure because of literature and things that I've read. So there was one particular video that went really super viral. This is back when I had my old account. I had 2.1 million followers, so a lot of my videos and audios would go viral regularly. One of the first demure videos is about me ordering a salad with a Diet Coke.
I'm very petite, very demure. I only eat Greek salads.
And how demure and petite and tiny I am that the wind would blow me away because I ordered a salad and a Diet Coke and I wouldn't be able to finish it because I'm so little, petite, and demure. Like, that was a video that I originally did. And it wasn't just one, it was a couple, and they went viral.
Now, what she said is not exactly the same phrasing. And to me, one of the biggest differences between the way that Selena uses it and the way that Jules uses it is that Selena is very obviously being genuine, right? Like, Selena is very, very obviously talking about how she is petite and how that makes her prettier and better than everyone else, right? And I get that, right? And obviously you can hear that and laugh at that and think that that is funny and a haha and a kiki, but she's also more serious than Jules is. And I think that for me is the main difference. And I'm going to be really honest, as a person who loves both of these creators, I think that this is an instance of people pulling things from our common lexicon and some people performing it in a way that performs better in the algorithm than others, frankly. Like, I think both of these transgender women are actually quoting Venus Extravaganza from Paris is Burning.
The thing that helped me make my most money through the escort service is being that I'm so little, I'm so petite, I'm tiny, the blonde hair and the light skin, the green eyes, and the little features. The client's hands will be bigger than my hands while they would hold my hand or something. You know, they like feeling that they were something perfect and little and not someone that's bigger than them, because I guess that kind of disturbs them.
And, you know, I think a lot of people don't really get how impactful Paris is Burning has been to our queer culture. There is so much of Drag Race, for example, that is just watered down Paris is Burning references, right? So much of it. And I think that there are some people who may hear people referencing Paris is Burning and that becomes its own unique thing, which I think is great, right? But I think that I've seen and heard over the years so many trans women of color specifically use this sort of verbiage and phrasing to speak about being demure. And a lot of times it is ironic. Sometimes it's very serious. Venus was clearly using it in a very genuine way that I think resonated with a lot of people in a comedic way, right? So I could understand that getting translated and influencing a lot of people to say these things, right? I do think ultimately that Jules performed it in a very different way. I think the way Jules did it was relatable, if I'm being frank, because it wasn't to be taken seriously, right? And I think that Selena's use of it, while you could argue she did it first, it's not the same use because it's genuine. And I'll be frank, there's a part of me that when I was watching some of Selena's videos, I was like, oh, is this like a weird, do you not like that the big girl got it? Do you hate that? Because to me, that there's conversations to be had there. But Jules, frankly, as someone who follows her, she is on top of her marketing shit. And if I'm going to, just give Selena feedback, she's not as on top of the marketing shit. When I look at Jules, I think of a person who's really, really good at TikTok, right? Like, the thing that I'll say about her doing all of this, the way that this meme has gone, is that she's really been smart about how she's hopped on top of it with opportunities with makeup brands and collaborations. Like, she's really out there doing the thing. And even before she got there, she's made like hundreds of videos doing different variations of demure and mindful in a way that I know reaches a wider audience, to the point where I've seen some people who have used it who are transphobic, right? And that's kind of an issue that's starting to happen in this. I'm already seeing it be abstracted so far away from her that people don't even refer to her as the person who created it. And I think that that is something that is really smelly, right? And, you know, I understand where Selena came from when she was arguing this, because, you know, so frequently trans women of color, we create these things that end up becoming trends and well-known and celebrated, and then we don't get the credit for it. We end up destitute while the big corporation that took the phrasing is more rich than they've ever been off of the work that we've done, right? That is an issue, right? Under capitalism, the way that the work that especially marginalized people is in one way extracted from them in a very unempathetic way, but then it's so habitual that clearly you're checking for the girls, right? And so living in this way, and it is very emblematic of existing in this society as a trans woman, right? You feel the hyper objectification that you experience, yet also the disgust that is projected onto you, right? Like all of these things sort of crescendo, and there's a reason why trans women should be protective of their intellectual property, for sure, right? And one of the issues that happened is that someone else actually tried to trademark Demure and Mindful, some random dude, and Jules was very, very upset about it.
Okay, so it turns out that Very Demure, Very Mindful has been officially trademarked, which means it can be used for like clothing and things like that. However, it was not trademarked by the creator, Jules. It was trademarked by some random guy in Washington. Now, a person by the name of Jefferson Bates in the Washington state area officially trademarked the Very Demure, Very Mindful phrase, giving that person complete reign over being able to make merchandise for that statement. Now, obviously, this throws a wrench in Jules' probably next plan when it comes to kind of achieving stardom and making things happen off your brand, because now that entire phrase is completely trademarked.
Like this merch situation is like really like fucking me up. Like I've just invested so much money and time into this, and I feel like I did it wrong. Like I feel like I didn't try hard enough, and like I wanted this to like do so much for like my family and like provide for my transition, and like I just feel like I dropped the ball. Like I feel like I fucked up and like someone else has it now, and I like don't even know what I could have done better, because like I didn't have the resources. And I'm just like sitting in bed just like feeling so fucking bad about all of this.
Now, from a lot of the stuff that I've seen, it seems like she's going to be fine. It seems like the trademark is okay. I think that she's sorted everything out, but it's crazy that someone hopped on it that quickly. And isn't that just proof and evidence that, like, you know, people are so willing to just take and not credit, right? And I know that that is a sore spot. And I think for me, the cool thing that I've seen with Jules is I'm seeing an example in real time of somebody getting their flowers for the thing that they created. And frankly, I really, really think that she deserves it. One of the cool things to come out of this is that Jules says that because of the success of this meme, she's able to fund her entire transition.
Everyone keeps asking me like how I feel about what's going on. And I feel so overwhelmed. Like I feel so grateful, don't get me wrong, but everything's happening so fast. Like I just landed in LA and I'm just like so overwhelmed. Like I have so much to do as soon as I got here. Oh God, but I'm living my fucking dream, bitch.
And honestly, that is the shit that I'm talking about, right? Because in the past, we've seen so many times, girl, I've been around for a bit, so many times people take from us. They take from us. And then we end up posting GoFundMes to fund surgeries, right? And that's not the way it should have ever been. So I'm so happy to see her be celebrated in this moment. I am really excited to see where Jules's career goes, and I will be rooting for her. I love the fact that we have more and more transgender people in the media and, you know, coming up there. I really do mean it. Like, I know that a lot of people don't see this now, but being on YouTube since 2005, I have definitely been one of the few on the internet. And it's just so cool that there are more creators out there. And I love the way, especially on TikTok, that trans creators interact with each other. It's just so cool, you guys. It is so cool. Anyway, on that note, let me know how you guys felt about this entire demure and mindful thing. I know some people don't like this particular meme because they're taking it very seriously. But girl, learn to laugh at yourself a little. To me, that is the coolest thing about this entire meme. It is not meant to be taken seriously. And I think that that is where some of y'all should go with this. But anyway, on that note, I'll talk to you guys later. If you guys enjoyed this video, please consider supporting me over on Patreon. Patreon is how I do this full time. And the names you're looking at right now are the names of my $20 producers who are on my Patreon. Thank you so much to everyone who has supported me over there. You guys are awesome, and I really appreciate you. On that note, I will talk to you guys later. And as per usual, I want you to always remember and to never forget that you are beautiful and you are loved. Bye.